Welcome back to the Underlay, a Clever Choice podcast. We've had a little bit of time off and 2024 is well and truly begun.
Begun already into the second month.
Yeah, it's gone so fast. It's incredible how time flies when you're apparently having fun.
Yeah. Well, we're out last weekend celebrating Year of the Dragon with our amazing multicultural team here.
Absolutely. And look, if you haven't realised, obviously I'm Matt and the other extremely beautiful voice is Michael. And sitting with us in the Clever Choice boardroom is Queensland State Manager Greg Harvey. How are you, mate?
Good. Back off the bench again.
Yeah, well, this is becoming more of a regular occurrence, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is.
And the plan moving forward is it will be more of a regular occurrence. I don't know if you've been fully informed as to what's going on, but each quarter we'll be having a product focus here on the Underlay.
Yep.
And
excited about that.
And that will be, exciting to really dive into the product range that Clever has, all the while not forgetting that it's about the bigger picture and about the industry. And it's going to be relationships within the industry with Clever products.
Yes.
And Greg will be the guy that will open the batting and talk us through the ranges as we get to them and what they do and what they mean and where they work and the relationship between Clever and the clients and the partners and where the ranges fit. So
yeah,
it's a new dawn.
It sure is, because we had such an amazing 2023 with launching the Underlay.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. We talked to a lot of really cool people. Obviously, finished the year with an absolute bang with the gold medal.
Sally Pearson.
Yeah, the gold medal episode with Sally, which was unfortunate, Michael. You couldn't be involved because you're a bit under the weather.
Yeah, I was a bit under the weather, but again, Greg stepped in and did a great job filling in. So thanks for that, Greg. You actually, even though it was one of the better podcasts, I've been told.
Look, I think it was interesting because I was the only one that was looking straight at Michael as he sat off camera and out of the set and he was chomping at the bit to get involved. And he kept looking at me when something was said. And I'm like, chill, brother. I've got it. It's all good. We'll get there. But she was great. Sally opened up a house to us. And
it was amazing.
She was seriously accommodating. She didn't have to do that. And
such a humble lady.
It was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
Even her husband was a really, really nice guy. I had a good chat with him while we were there. And you can just tell they're really humble, family-orientated people.
Yeah.
And, it was a cool experience for sure.
Well, all her memorabilia, wasn't out like what I expected it to be out on display. It was in her back room and more intimate, when she took us in there and really showed us all that.
Yeah, it was.
So that was, sort of very humbling for me to see someone of her stature, isn't just pushing in everyone's face.
Absolutely. And obviously we got Josh Marquez from Marquez Flooring to thank for that.
Yes.
That was a job that they did and chose Clever as the flooring solution, which was amazing, and he organised all of that. So hats off to Josh, absolute legend fellow with an unbelievably good beard.
It is a good beard, isn't it?
Good news too. We just finished our Build Cambodia campaign with Marquez Flooring, and we raised over $1,000 for that as well. So
yeah, great.
Really happy with that result, and that's going to go a long way to helping that cause as well. So he does give us a lot of his time, Josh, and helps us out with a lot of things. So it's nice to sort of be able to give back to him as well.
So he's chipping in, building homes in communities and
yeah, correct. Yeah, they've just finished house number 16 as well. So as we know, he started off just doing it by himself as a side project. I guess he didn't really know how far it was going to go, but now to make sort of 16 homes for people and be able to move that on for generations of people, not just help the people now, but their kids and their kids again. So it's good to be able to help out with that, and there was good support around that. So yeah, being able to, I know he said how much $100 helped one of these families, so I'm sure $1,000 will go a long way. So
well, mate, he said that you can build a house for the price of an iPhone. So you're halfway to a house, right? Which is really mind blowing when you think about it.
Amazing, isn't it?
We carry around like an object we take so for granted, and I probably don't realise how much we use it and how much it controls our life. But that thing that's in our pocket it means so much to someone else in a different perspective.
100%. I think everything we take for granted over here. Like,
Yeah.
I've been talking to a few people that come from less fortunate backgrounds from overseas and things like that recently, and you hear the way that they've got to grow up, and you look at it and you think, geez, like, God, I don't know how we could have got through that. And they seem to just see it as a learning experience, and they're proud of where they come from and things like that. So,
Yeah.
Just happy to kick a can down the road.
yeah.
Well, I guess people don't know any different, right? So you are who you are, and you are where you grow up, really, and you don't know any different.
I'm definitely not Kempsey anymore. I think I'm getting rid of a little bit of Kempsey.
No, but
He's still in there.
but you're the person you are because of you've learned a lot of lessons from where you grew up, right?
Yeah.
And you can either choose to stay that Kempsey Greg
Yeah.
or be a different Greg.
Yeah.
And it's only because of the experiences you've had. So
Yeah, correct.
So it's really important. Michael, it's 2024 is a big year for Clever Choice in general.
Oh, huge year.
Yeah, and I know that the word growth and consolidation and is top of the list.
Yeah.
And mate, why don't you tell us a little bit about what the vision is this year for Clever? I know that you're very excited about a new warehouse.
Yep.
But mate, take us on the Clever journey for 2024 from a GM's perspective.
So it's 8:00.
Oh, right, okay.
So 2024 is probably the most exciting year for Clever Choice. 2023, we spent a lot of energy building finalising, I guess, all the foundations. So we got our third warehouse in Melbourne, which was always a goal from the beginning. Was when we had Sydney, to then get Brisbane, which we had 2 years ago, and then finally last year, a lot of energy went into fulfilling the dream of having that third warehouse in Melbourne. Putting on all the staff, the infrastructure, a lot of staff movement within our team. So it was a really good year to build last year, to switch and change. And, by the end of the year, we really got everything exactly sort of where we wanted it. So being able to have that break at Christmas and sort of regroup then, Sean, managing director, myself and Rishi, our head financial guy, all sort of sat around for that first couple of weeks of the year and said, okay, now how do we move forward with this plan? So it was a really good time for us to sort of reflect, look at all the great things that we've achieved over the past 4 years, and then ultimately now put the plan in place for 2024 and beyond. Which is exciting. Because the last 4 years the plan was to build, and we got there. So that was really good to be able to achieve those goals. And, I think it's like what you just said before, you can find happiness in those little things. And I think you got to set those goals. And then when you get to them, I think you got to celebrate them.
Oh, I think you definitely need to celebrate the little wins.
Yeah.
Because if you wait for the end goal, sometimes that takes longer than anticipated, right? So if you didn't celebrate the little wins, then sometimes you feel it's just a grind the whole time, and you feel that I'm working for nothing.
100%.
So I think you've got to set manageable goals.
Yeah.
And I think that with an end goal that's always going to be a little bit, audacious generally.
Yep.
That's business 101 is set a goal that's audacious and strive to get there. Greg, you're at the front, you're really at the coalface of the sales team. 2024 is a big year for Clever, and a lot of that pressure will fall back onto the sales team because you've got some new targets, you've got some exciting new relationships that'll be coming to the fore this year. And mate, from your perspective, how do you feel about what the goals look like this year and where we're going as a company?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, even from when I first started at the start of 2022 to where we are now at the start of 2024, I think it's probably progressed even quicker than I thought it was going to. And as Michael said, this is probably our most important year yet, especially post-COVID, where I think during COVID, business was a hell of a lot better than it normally is because no one could travel, everyone was spending money on the homes and they were keeping it local sort of thing. So it's the last couple of years we've probably been quite fortunate in the fact that there was a lot more money around than normal. Whereas now with interest rate rises, the fact that people can holiday and things like that again, means that less money is going to get spent in the home. So as you say, a lot of pressure will fall back onto our sales reps to achieve the company's goals during this time. But for us, it's no different to the company. We've just got to get better and continue to grow as a unit. And for me, I like to set goals, as you say, that are realistic, but probably a little bit further than what I think I will get, because it gives me something to push forward for. But it's the same old thing. Like, you can sit there and harp on about it's quiet or it's this or that or anything else, but people are still buying flooring. Flooring shops are still open. So you've just got to make sure that every morning you get up with the right energy, you get up with the right attitude, and just be consistent with your service. I found is one thing that's keeping me in the game quite well, is the fact that I can be so consistent in my service. And Michael's adapting the territories a little bit as well, so that I can probably focus on areas more out west, up north, and sort of closer to my house on the north side of Brisbane. So it gives me more ability to sort of really own in on the main customers that I've got that are close, that are more manageable. And then changing other people's job roles to help out. But as a whole sales unit, I think we're all adapting, taking on different areas, different territories to sort of get the most out of everything. And I think as long as the guys keep doing what they're doing with the product ranges, the new releases that are coming, as you say, some new relationships that are forming, we've got all the tools to make it bigger and better than ever. We've just got to want to and keep pushing forward for that.
And that's the key, Greg, is the want to, and we want to. That's the difference. The team here at Clever, we all love it. We were sitting around the other day, talking to marketing teams and talking about what our strategies and all that are, and then how we feel about our team. And it was good to hear the staff sort of get in and go, we actually love just working here. So we want it. The other thing is the sales reps, and Greg touched on a good point there, that we need to keep evolving, and even our sales guys. So we've brought on another 2 new sales reps this year. So that's a higher level of service that we can offer. So as I said, last year was all about the growing and the back end and getting all the structure right. Sean bringing in a heap of new products, as Greg said. We've got 5 new ranges being launched in the next couple of months. So, products, warehouse, tick. Our support team, tick. Now this year, 100% focus is on our customer service, on delivering, on making sure we've got the right people visiting, the stores, doing all the training, getting all the merchandising right. And then ultimately too, like Greg said, we don't just, okay, that's your territory, so you have to man it. We went through all the numbers and we're shifting it around. There's half a dozen to a dozen stores that most reps are switching between themselves. Some of them they're doubling up on. So again, we looked at what the customer needs and what they're telling us. So we're adapting, we're changing, and I think that's where we're different to a lot of the other companies. A lot of companies get stuck in their structure. They set a plan, they set this structure, and that's the way forward. Where we like to change it, mix it up and get the feedback from the customers and be adaptive.
Well, I think it's important. I think if we've learned anything from COVID, is that magic COVID word was pivot, right?
Yeah.
And really, when you take it out of that context, it really just means you've got to be fluid, and it means that you have to be adaptable. You have to be able to meet the market, and if that means that you need to change the way you do business, you need to be able to do that. And if it means that you're changing the territories, it means that you're adding new product launches, new product ranges. If it means that you're opening a new warehouse, you're meeting the market where it's needed, and I think that that's important.
Yeah. And
what you'll probably see is you'll see the ability for your customer service to go to the next level, which is great. If you talk to anyone that we talk to here on the podcast that sort of has that relationship with you guys, talk first and foremost about, well, it's the people. Like, it's when Greg comes into the store, when Ian comes into the store, when Austin comes into the store, when Michael comes into, that's all we hear, right? So. Yeah. It's already good, but if you go to the next level, and even 10% more would make a massive difference. And Greg's saying that he can focus more because he'll be a little bit more local. He won't spend as much time on the road, which is a killer for a sales rep. Yeah. That dead time on the road, sure, you can call some people or whatever, but if you spend an hour on the road, you might be able to go into 2 stores and face-to-face them for 30 minutes each, and that's way more important.
Yeah, it's just about finding a balance there, and as I say, just making sure that everyone can be seen. Like, there's probably stores last year where over visited or over serviced, and then there's ones that probably felt let down or left behind a little bit as well. So it's about trying to find a way so that 1 through 100 all feel like they're getting the same level of service, and that's probably my main focus this year, is just to make sure that no matter who you are or where you are, you feel like you're getting the same level of service out of me as anyone else. So that's really important for me, and then giving back to our really big supporters this year as well, and making sure that they know how appreciated they are as well.
Yeah, everyone deserves to share the love, and feel the love.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're all about. We wake up every day and, we come here for a purpose, and, that purpose is to be great.
Yeah.
That purpose is to be successful, and, we want to share that. And, I look at all our clients as our business partners. If we're doing business together, like you and I,
Yeah.
You're in here every other week, you and Sophie.
Yeah.
That we feel like you're part of our business. And
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
the way that I look at every business partner that we have,
Yeah.
that if we can all help each other, we all go home happier.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously the core business will always be for Clever Choice, will be your resellers and be your partners and be servicing the residential market and the end user. But there's a commercial focus you really want to concentrate on this year as well, is building that commercial side.
Yes.
With developments and project managers and architects and all that. So, and getting into the high rises and all that kind of stuff. So talk us maybe just a little bit, and it'll probably get us then to lead into the range, being the timber solutions, where,
Correct.
It will be a good starting point there. But you've got a couple of good relationships already that from a commercial perspective.
Yep.
And you've been in some really nice developments.
Yes.
And you're hoping to grow that. Tell us a little bit about the commercial focus and why it's probably the next obvious step for you guys.
So 2023 was also another great year for that growth in the commercial field. I think when you're learning any skill, like selling homes or selling cars or getting to that level, you strive to be wanting to sell, the high-end sort of products. You can be a used car salesman, or you can be out there selling McLarens, and I think for us, that's how I look at, commercial, that, the residential is an area that is a heavily focused part of our business and will always be heavily focused. And for that, we want to offer the best service. Different companies have different goals. For us, it's about the service. So then moving into commercial, it was exciting to get, several towers that you came out and visited last year with us and seen, the finished project. We had Madison from Plus Architects on last year. So, when you're starting a project with people, like Madison and her team 2 or 3 years ago, you're talking about colours and design and as we discussed on that podcast, I don't have that vision that people like Madison and Plus we work with a lot of architects. They've got that vision, so you sort of see it starting to come to life. You see all these drawings, you got the specifications, so it's a process. And then when you win that tender, the buzz, because I've put so much time, I guess I don't get those little wins along the way that a lot of, say, the retailers come. So you're banking on a lot of the bigger wins. And then when those wins come, that drove me last year. It's like, yes, and then another one come through, yes. And then I see these things starting to bank up. So there's that excitement of winning them. But then actually seeing it then go on the ground and getting on the sites. We were lucky to get up to the new casino up in Brisbane and look around there and actually see scales of sites of that size, in the building industry compared to just seeing a standard single dwelling home to seeing something that's 4 towers. You got an air bridge being lifted up in the sky. Like, you actually really get to see the engineering of a building. So being involved in all that, like, for me now, is that exciting part. It's like, that's the top of our game to get into, high-rise development work, and we're there, and it's, I was listening to some snippets this morning, and, confidence is not about dreaming about what you want, it's doing what you want, and I'm doing it. So that's now what we want to continue to do this year, is keep growing on that and Obviously, we've got a really good foothold in the Brisbane market. So it's going to be no different to start moving into Sydney and Melbourne. We can deliver. We project manage. Again, we do things different to others. A lot of our competitors just out there flashing their product around. Where we're more boutique, and we want to work with contractors. I've got to know, people at Hutchies, now moving into Mervac and things like that. And I'm loyal. So if I'm going in to start the job, that's who I'm working with. When it all goes out to tender, I'm not, excuse the French, but I'm not, flashing my product around for everyone just to go out. We've got these protections in place that we want to work with people.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that from the very beginning right through to the end, even, next week I'm up on site, we're laying another one up in West Village. We're going up to see the display floor, and I'm going to be on site watching that first one go down. So we can check the quality of product, we can talk with the installers, we're going to have the developer, everyone's going to be on site as it's going down.
Yeah.
And then we can all stand back, okay, is this the way that we want it? From a product point of view, leveling point of view, all the trims around, how they're going to block out the sun, because ultimately you're in a pretty hostile environment on these working sites. It's not just like a home, you've got thousands of trades coming in and out of those apartments every day. You've got harsh environments that aren't lived in environments, so there's no air cons. Half of them don't even have doors on them at this point.
So I'm going to stop you there, Michael. That's a really interesting point, because I'd be assuming when you talk about the construction of a apartment, and you're talking about you have hundreds of people walking through there in a day through that apartment. At what point does the floor go in? Is it one of the last things that goes in?
Way too early.
Yeah.
In a normal home, so if you're just doing a single house, then yes, it's generally going in right at the end. Now, in an apartment, say building, let's say 40 to 50 stories high, they're generally doing about 6 levels at a time. So do your lift shaft, do your levels, and then they start rolling up. And then once they're about, that 6 levels, bang, your kitchens are going in, your gibrock's going in, your flooring's going in. They haven't even finished the electrical. They haven't even finished the building to the top.
Yeah, right.
So you've got plumbing, you've got electrical, you've got things, okay, they're all going in at a fundamental point, but it's not fully completed, it's a working project. So I guess what happens, the flooring goes in, because you got tradesmen that are there every day. So they don't have to, like a normal home where they're only there once. They're ongoing. So they work their schedules that some of them may not finish. They might just put the carcass of the kitchen in. Then the flooring goes in, then the trims go. That kitchen guy comes back later with all the bench top. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So is it when you're talking about speccing a job like that, do you take that into an account that, we might need a solution that is a bit hardier because, for 6 months, this is going to be down and
it's a work site.
It's a work site.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to get to the end and you've got a $1.2 million apartment that's got scuffed up floors, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And, there's so many different factors. I think a lot of people that try to get into the commercial space, they just think, it's tens of thousands of meters, so let's do it super cheap. I'm sorry, but it actually costs time. There's days where I was on site one day. It took us an hour just to get into the lift. We got up to the level. We got up there, started raining lightning stroke. So then the whole site got shut down and we come down. I spent a whole day literally going up and down a lift. Like, who's paying for that?
Yeah.
And that's thousands of workers all doing the same. We're all lining up. We're all trying to get up and down, one lift. Sometimes 2, depending on the size of the site. But yeah, that's just one factor. And again, you're putting floor protection down, you're doing that, but you got dust, you got builders, you got so many things happening, that all of a sudden 6 months later you come back, you pull up all your protection and there's 4 boards that are damaged. So that all needs to be, so there's so many things, the cleaning. I can tell you when that floor protection comes up, those floors are soiled. So again, you're right. It comes down then to product selection. And 90% of what we do in those units is, your oaks. We've got Australian black button spotted gum going into one up in West Village at the moment. And then I guess you build Torrents, predominantly now switching to the hybrid. So, we've got 3 ranges of products, predominantly oaks, in all the buy-to-sells, which, we've worked out systems, I guess, with the developers, with the installers, the cleaners, on how to make sure that we maintain those products the best, and then how we build them and spec them to make sure that they can hold up to that. It's not just your standard residential products.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I guess that's a really good time to talking about the product focus for this quarter. Greg's just going to do a little flip here on the look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
It's like a soft closed talk.
See, even getting the underlay, it's exciting actually. We've got our own Facebook and Instagram page this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of things changing. It's we're taking it to a new level. We're looking at getting some very exciting guests on.
Oh, yes.
And which will be really cool. But focus for this quarter has been your timber solutions, oak, Australian timbers, bamboo, exotic.
Yep.
First and foremost, and it's funny that we come almost full circle when we talk about the timber solutions, because Clever Choice essentially was built on bamboo, right? The product. It's essentially almost where it was made its name through.
Well, Clever Choice
was Clever Bamboo.
Yeah. When it started up, 2003.
Yeah.
Over 20 years now. How exciting.
Yeah.
See, another great reason to celebrate 2024, because we've gone over those 20 years now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was Clever Bamboo, Australia.
Yeah. It was funny. When I was here earlier in the week and I was down looking through the samples, and I pulled up the swatches for the bamboo, and I was like, wow, like it's come so far.
Oh.
And that's still a great product, right? It's bloody, it's sturdy, like it's thick.
Yep.
It's a good board, like it looks great.
We don't talk about it enough. It's still actually one of my favourite floors.
Yeah.
As much as the industry has sort of pushed it to the side, for so many reasons, which we'll get into later, but it's the only solid product still left on the market. Like, yes, you can get your solid timbers and things like that, but that's become a bit more of a niche now.
Yeah.
And you're getting sort of more of your sand and polish contractors doing that work. And I'm not saying that's not a great product. It still very much is. But within sort of, I guess, our product range and, where the competitive space we're in, bamboo's the lasting, solid pre-finished product on the market.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's very hard, very durable.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons I sold one of my homes, because I had it in there, and 5 years on, it was still looking like it was brand new.
Yeah.
It's the forgotten gem. It really is. And, we're going to be putting a lot of focus back into bamboo this year, because it is what made us. And
I couldn't believe how heavy the swatch is. Oh. I picked it up. I was like, shit, there's some heft to this.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of positives in those bamboo floors. Like, one of my first experiences with Clever Choice was selling, I think it was 157 square metres of bamboo up at Deception Bay, just out the back on a big property. And I said the same thing to the lady. I said, look, it's the nicest product you'll look at. And as long as we put it in right and you understand these factors, you're going to have a beautiful looking floor that's going to perform forever. And we did the right things. We put the expansion where they were meant to go. We made it a bit bigger for the expansion, because we know it's probably going to shrink rather than grow. And we never had a problem with that job, and because it was done right.
Yeah.
But the same thing, like, my layer hadn't laid a hell of a lot of bamboo at that point. But even he said to me, he goes, as a product, this is one of the easiest floating floors to lay.
Yeah.
And he said, I'll lay this stuff all day. And I just said to him, that's fine, just make sure you follow the parameters. But I think it's, as Michael said, it's probably the hidden gem that a lot of people have gone away from, because there was some cheap imitations that just kept trying to undercut each other.
Yeah.
It just became savage in that market. Once all the other ones left, we're one of the only ones that survived, but people are still gun shy about it. But as I say, if you do it right, you follow the methods like you have to with any type of flooring, it doesn't fail. you'll have a floor that will go forever.
Oh, 100%. Well, I've got it in my office just here. One of the harshest bits of furniture in any home is an office chair, because it is just like sandpaper rolling backwards and forwards. And I'm a good 100-kilo sort of person, so that weight. Looking here now, 3 years on, not a single scratch on my floor. Like, I'm not saying it's not going to scratch and all that, but it is very hard wearing. And Greg's right. When you're looking at high-end products, like your bamboos, like your thick, oaks and that I'm sure we're going to talk about, you got to respect the way they need to be laid. They're a timber product. They're a moving product, and it's not the product that generally fails in flooring, which, we spoke about a lot last year, around installation and things like that.
Yeah.
The challenge that people had with the bamboo was they tried to cut all the corners. They tried to lay it without expansion gaps. They tried to minimise, how much perimeter gap they put, or, didn't consider the environment, blocking out your windows and doing all those type of things. They just wanted to get it in because it was popular. Every man and his son was out laying it, and not considering that, you've got to have allowances when you're laying. And unfortunately, we've seen that in nearly all ranges, throughout probably the last 20 years that I've been in it. It started off with laminates, and then everyone, laminates aren't any good, and then they bench laminates. And then, sort of, I guess the engineers come in and, the engineers are all squeaking and this and that, so then they like bench them. And bamboo had its time, which is sort of when we came in, and we did really well out of it. And then all of a sudden there's all these installation failures again. And like Greg said, if you're not going to respect the products for the way they should be installed, then of course they're going to have failures, or people are going to get over the problems. And we're now in the hybrid era, which is going through the same process. We had the loose lay vinyl planks, which was that was actually one of the quickest ones, bringing out a product that should be direct stuck. There should be no reason why you would ever even think of changing it and thinking, let's lay this product and not put glue and hope that it just stays on the ground.
Yeah, they made these click vinyl planks, like it was a vinyl plank with a click on it like a hybrid, and as a floor installer, every time you rocked up and saw these boxes, you'd just be like, not again. I remember there was a job at Newmarket we went to, and it was 6 levels of it. We looked at the product and we just went, not for us, thanks. And we told this guy 4 or 5 times, we're not laying that stuff anymore. But yeah, there's some products that should be benched.
Yeah.
But bamboo certainly isn't one of them.
Yeah.
No, well, we still do well out of it. So we're one of the few that's still left. We were one of the first to do it in Australia. Really, Simon was one of the pioneers of bamboo in Australia. Started off as like your vertical, horizontal, moved into bamboo. And that was sort of around the era when click was coming in. So originally it was actually tongue and groove. Then he sort of pioneered a drop and lock. There was a lot of, and I was actually a retailer back then. So even though I've been with Clever for going on 12 years, I was actually one of Clever's first customers for 6 years prior to that. So I helped as an installer actually develop the bamboo. And I think that's why I've got a soft spot for it, because we spent 6 years building that product. And then I was fortunate to come across to Clever Bamboo at the time and then sell it. So.
Yeah. Well, it's a good. I'm glad we started with bamboo, because it's obviously built the foundations of Clever Choice. But when we talk about the Timber Solutions range, I guess the oak is a good place to start. Greg, why don't you sort of talk us a little bit through the range and what it offers and the benefits of the oak flooring, authentic oak, and European oak, and all the oaks.
So we're quite lucky in the sense that we've got a number of different oak ranges that cover off a lot of different needs, I guess. So you've got your 12 mils, you've got your 14 mils, you've got your 20 mils. So that helps when you're trying to match heights, whether you're trying to get to a certain price point, whether you want a longer, wider board, a thinner, shorter board. We sort of cover off not just different price points, but different variations, which are visually going to do different things as well. I think oak flooring, for me, like, it adds so much class to a house. Like we saw even at Sally Pearson's house there at the back end of the year. Like if you go and put a plastic floor in that, it's not going to look the same as what it did. And the fact that you can use those timber products, you can glue them down, you can float them, you've got options there for install. You can start them in the middle of a hallway so you can have those nice even pieces on the edge. Just little touches that you can do with timber to make it visually much better for the client is good. And like I had someone the other day that they only wanted a longer, wider board, so I can offer them the Oak XL, or if they want to go bigger again, I can offer them the luxury. And then you've got other people that don't want it long and wide, so then you can go back to your 12mm Elegance or your Oak Perfecto and you can change the board size. Certain stores have got installers that like to lay tongue and groove only and direct stick everything. Then you've got other ones that only want to float floors and use a click system as well, so they've got the options there between the two. So I think one thing we've done really well with our Oak ranges is give everyone an option, whether it be the store and their installer or whether it be the people in their own homes. There's sort of an option there for everyone with different thicknesses of veneers and things like that. So that's one thing we've done really well is diversified the range so that everyone's sort of got a spot there.
Let's get real, right? People walk into these flooring stores asking for timber floors, not plastic floors.
Mate, they're always called wooden floorboards, like regardless, right? So I think you're right. You're right. They want a timber floor. Yeah. So here we go.
And that's what we offer. So, Greg, tell us a little bit. So you mentioned all the different ranges. So like you said, you got your 12 mils, 14 mils, tongue and groove, click, brush matte finish. There's so many different options. There's different price points. Why do a lot of the stores find it hard when, as we said, customers come in wanting timber floors, but yet walk out with a plastic floor? Why do stores have a challenge with selling the real deal? Like, what is it?
Yeah, I still can't put my finger on it, to be honest. I think a lot of them go for the easy way out, and they see if they get the price down, it's not going to be as intimidating to a customer. A lot of them are price sensitive, I find.
Yeah.
And it used to really annoy me because, like, throughout my roles in retail, I had to do a lot of training of new staff and things like that. And one thing I used to say to them all the time was, don't be scared of the price. If someone comes into you asking for a timber floor, they generally want to buy a timber floor. There's no need then to take them back to a hybrid or a laminate or something like that because it's not what they actually came in for.
Yeah. And
when you break some of these jobs down over the lifespan of a product, which is, say, 20 years, the difference in money between a hybrid and a timber split over 20 years is not that much money. But because salesmen, I think, are so focused on the now and getting the sale and they've got their own pressures, obviously, to meet targets and stuff, they only look at the now and they think, oh, I don't want to go too high with this, otherwise I'm going to lose it. But they're not looking 20 years in advance. They're not saying to people, if you average out this $10,000 over 20 years, it works out to a couple of dollars a week.
But you're not talking about $10,000 extra, are you? You're only talking in some instance, like I obviously know the pricing of all the products.
Yeah.
Compared to some of your hybrids, probably our best range of hybrid, would say our 9mm.
Yeah.
Compared to like your 12mm oak.
Yeah.
You're talking dollars.
Yeah, but I'm talking over like a whole house of flooring.
Yep.
By the time they do up their quote,
yep.
The difference there, you can justify that to your customer by saying, look, this product's your plastic products aren't going to look that good in 10 to 15 years, whereas with a timber board that can be sanded back, it can be refinished, things like that, plus it's still nice and hard wearing, you're going to get a lot longer out of that product. And then when you work out those time frames, it makes a lot more sense if you sell it that way. But as I say, it's like wool carpets.
Yep. Like
wool carpets are the high end ones, they're hyperallergenic, things like that. And the amount of sales that I used to win off people coming in saying, I want a wool carpet, so I'd take them and show them the wool carpets and then I'd sell them a wool carpet. And often those sales would be quite easy. And I asked a lady one day, I remember it quite well, her name was Teresa, and I said to her, why did you sign up so easy? Like, this came really natural and easy and it didn't seem like I had to really fight for this one. And she said to me, well, you're the only shop out of 5 shops that I went to that didn't try and talk me into a nylon. And she goes, I didn't want a nylon, I came in wanting a wool, and you're the only one that actually listened to what I wanted and sold me that product. And it's the same with people that want timber. You don't often have people come in that want timber that don't know that they want timber. Yeah. But for some reason, they still get manipulated back into selling hybrids or vinyls or something like that. And even I think the salespeople in general, they don't understand the benefit for their targets, their commissions, things like that in selling an oak or an Aussie timbers floor, bamboo floor, as opposed to a plastic floor.
Yeah.
Because, as I say, your sale can vary $10,000 in some homes if they're big enough. And that's more money that you're making. That's more money that your shop's making. And that's a nicer finish that you've got that you can promote on your social medias or whatever. But yeah, I honestly think it's just a price sensitive thing. They honestly get worried about sending out a price that's too big.
Right. Because I look around our office here, in our showroom. So we've got right here where we are right now in our boardroom, which is probably the busiest room in this office. Rolling chairs, as we said. We've got samples in and out of here all the time. We're laying stuff. So it's probably getting the most abuse. And it's our oak timber. As I said, the bamboo in my office. We've got laminate in Rishi's office. We've got hybrids out there. And they've all been laid by the same person. They all cop the same wear. Like, we've got a warehouse environment downstairs, so we've got, I guess all that warehouse dust and things being walked in here. We're not being gentle. We're not wearing slippers around here. Like, I've got work boots on and things like that. And they're all performing, right? There's not one in here that I think is showing wear more than others. So, like you said, I think, why do people have this perception? Like, I know price is one thing, but there's this whole thing around like, oh, it's waterproof, or it's, and I think there's also a fear factor. They're fearful that the timbers are going to cause them problems. Like, do you hear that as well? Because from what I can see, they've all been laid right and they're all performing well in the same environment.
Yeah, and it's another thing even between the click system and the tongue and groove system. Like, a lot of these stores let the layers dictate to them, I don't want to lay tongue groove, takes too long. But then that same store will complain about creaking in timber floors. So for me, it's, you can't have the best of both worlds. And I think the good part for me probably in the last 6 to 12 months is I've noticed the industry as a whole, when they are selling timber, are more often direct sticking it than not now.
Yeah.
Which is I think's the right direction to go down. Like, a direct stick floors, it sounds better. You can finish it a lot better, things like that. But again,
totally agree.
A lot of people for a long time were price sensitive to that. But I think now that more stores have understood that that's probably the better way to go, and that's going to cause them less headaches with a timber floor, that now it's becoming more normal and people are coming less price sensitive to it, because everyone else is doing it. So it's more of a level playing field. And I think the more the timber industry evolves and the more we go down that direct sticking path, I think that's when the timber industry as a whole will level out and it'll become a lot more competitive, and we'll see a lot more timber sales as people start to understand it. Like, you've just got to look at like Braden, Danny, Jason, Josh down at Marquees. Like, they do a lot of timber flooring, but they've also taken a lot of time to understand the product.
Correct.
Like, you hear the way that they present the product in the store to their customers and things like that. They know the product inside and out. They know the features. They know the benefits. They're not scared of it, which is why they sell a lot of it. And I think that's probably one thing in this industry, like coming through the sales ranks from my time installing, I noticed that a lot of the training revolves around sales, just how to sell. It doesn't revolve enough around understanding your products, your market, your features, your benefits, and how to sell a product. Like, it tells you why, like, that you need to sell the product, but it doesn't necessarily tell you how, the best way. Or I don't think people take enough initiative to actually research these things and find out enough. Like, the good part about Clever Choice is that we get encouraged to learn these things. Like, I've just come out of the Assessing Timber Floors course for ATFA, which I finished yesterday. And for 2.5 hour sessions, I learned more in that time than I probably did in the last 12 months in regards to timber floors in particular.
Yep.
And there's so many things out there like that, but I don't think enough people are taking advantage of.
So 2 points there that you sort of raised is the direct stick versus floating. So we do sell a lot of oak timber in this company, especially in the field that we were talking about with the commercial, doing 5,000 metre jobs at a time. Majority of our products, yes, we do have some click, but tongue and groove is the majority of our ranges. And we changed a couple of years ago and went to tongue and groove, pushed back and educated, a lot of our clients to go back to direct sticking. We just don't have claims. We don't have the squeaking issues. We don't have the vertical movement. So, click versus tongue and groove. It's sort of like the mullet, right? Timber flooring, and again, we're talking about being real this episode, and it's around where it all started, and that was basically strip raw timber floors, right? So you used to basically cut a tree down, tongue and groove it, solid planks, bring it into your home, glue it, nail it, like I'm talking fix this thing to your house, and it was never going to move. Come in, sand and polish it, it's there for the life. We went through an era where everything was about let's make it cheaper, quicker, easier, right? And the installers benefited because they could lay more meters. But did the end customer benefit? No. Okay, it's probably, if you're talking about time, it may be about 10% quicker to lay a floating floor. So, there, for the end user, okay, you got a little bit quicker time in installing. But ultimately, as the end user, you're now getting floors that squeak. You're now getting floors that can bounce and move and, depending on where your sun and things like that are, that all these, allowances and trims and all these other extras have been put in place to really simply just speed up the installation process. There is no actual benefit. Now, if you want, people say, oh, you can have acoustic underlays. Well, you can dual bond and glue, your rubber underlay and then put your floor over. So, that's a fallacy as well. The cost, really, people go, oh, if you float it, you don't have to level. Another fallacy that, is untrue. Every floor needs leveling, whether it's sanding humps, grinding, filling some dips, so the floating floor really built in this fallacy of we can save money.
Yeah, and like even as you said the other day, though, you've got 3-in-1 glues and that sort of things now, which add acoustic properties as well. So
we're using them in all the apartment work we're doing at the moment.
Options there that you can use. And as you say, people throw out excuses as to why they can't direct stick.
Yeah.
They all know that they should direct stick, and they all know that the tongue and groove is going to squeak less, but no one still wants to take that jump. Like, we've brought in the Oak Perfecto, which, again, is a click. And I don't want to sit here and rubbish click systems altogether because I think they've definitely still got a place. And I think that's where we've been smart about it. If you're going to bring back in a click, make sure there's a bit of extra wax on the joints. Make sure you've got the 5G click in the end.
Yes.
Try and do whatever you can to reduce that sound.
Yeah.
And people, we saw at Sally's house, they're still direct sticking it.
Yes.
I think a click system definitely speeds up a direct stick process.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's where it can be used well. But even in saying that, as I say, if you're going to float it, you need to have the extra wax. You need to have the 5G. You need to do what you can.
Still got to have a level subfloor.
It's still got to be level. You still got to use the correct trims. That's one thing at the moment that is driving me insane is the incorrect use of trims around. Like, everyone knows the parameters. Everyone knows how to use trims.
Yeah, every doorway needs one.
But again, it's about speeding up the install. Rather than setting your bases, going around laying your timber and then putting your tops in at the end, like we provide with all of our flooring, they still continue just to glue the trims to the top of the floor and expect them to be able to expand correctly. And I'm seeing this more.
Why do they do that? I don't get it. We supply the right trims. We supply the C2 part. Like you said, you can put the bases, separate every room so they're all an individual raft, go in, tap your tops on top. Why do they go and glue the L angles around the perimeter? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about this not long ago, and I was thinking, why is this made such a big deal of? Because, like, 9 times out of 10, they'll say, oh, the layers don't like using them. Get them to go and lay carpet for a day, because you know what carpet layers have to do? They have to set down their smooth edge, they set a metal trim in the doorway, they lay their carpet, and then they tap rubber capping into the top of the trim.
Yeah.
It's literally no different to our concept.
Oh, no.
And
you're talking, what, $20, $30 extra on a job? Like, we're talking maybe 10 trims. So we're talking about a $10,000 job, or let's say even a $5,000 job. We're talking generally, a couple of sliding doors and, a threshold indoor bathroom. So maybe 5 trims at, even if you're paying $20 a trim, so what's that? It's $100.
And they're still paying $7 for the L angle. So essentially, it's $13. As you say, you add it up over 5 lengths. $65
to restrict the movement and actually potentially damage the whole $10,000 floor
and cost yourself money. Like, that's
it
blows my mind. But this is like these are the sorts of things that I think we need to really focus on in 2024 and educating people. Is the fact that it's no different to loan a multi, and I think once you push it that way, then that's when people start to understand it. But everything's about speeding up the install without any care for what that's going to cause after install.
So we talk about 2024. How do we educate? And I think we did a good job last year. I think we, again, probably 90% of our oaks going out now are being direct stuck. We see very little claims. Like they're still there, so we're still identifying, some of these practices that could be improved. How does Clever improve their education in 2024? How do we swing it back around?
I think it's about educating ourselves as well, first and foremost. Like, it probably highlighted for me over the last couple of days that I still don't understand enough about timber that I need to proper educate. I've come a long way in the last 2 years in that space, but I want to keep educating myself in that sense as well, and that's going to give me the best opportunity to then educate my clients. But it's about making it easy for them to understand, I think, is the main thing, rather than trying to overcomplicate it and talking about the difference of this and that and everything else. Physically be able to show them, I think, whether it be through social media posts or making training videos or going into the shop and doing it, or doing all three as a whole. I think that's where the education needs to come of why would you sell it this way, or how do you stay in the timber sale rather than moving back to a hybrid. It's all for us about educating and servicing these customers, and that's what I was saying before, being able to adapt and give ourselves more time to service everyone. And then if we can set a strategy where we train everyone the same, teach everyone the same, that's going to give us the best results as an industry, because what we've noticed is once some people start doing it, it starts to catch on and everyone starts doing it. So if we're servicing everyone the same, educating everyone the same, that's where we're going to get the best results out of it.
So you mentioned, and I know because I've done it several times now, the beginning of this year, the last 2 weeks, you've gone into a course.
Yep.
Tell us a bit about, ADFA, which I've been a part of for over 10 years now. Tell us a little bit about what you got out of, what the course was and what you got out of it.
Yeah, so the course is about assessing timber floor performance across the board. They touch on solid timbers, which we don't have, but they also, it teaches you a lot about timber characteristics as a whole.
Yep.
But then
so timber, as far as like the performance of like all the like planks and things like that. So all our plank flooring.
Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, it talks about engineered boards, solid boards, assessing whether certain products are right for certain homes. I think that's another thing that it comes down to when you're selling a product, is understanding where a product should and shouldn't go, by being able to assess where the house sits in relation to the environment, the levels of the floor, your raft sizes, moisture contents in the home, humidity, temperatures, little things like that. It touches on so much across the board, which I think salesmen could really benefit from as well, because it sort of like we do when we go to do an inspection on a floor, there's a checklist that we go through. And I think if someone that's out there selling timber actually went through all those steps and said, okay, this needs to be done because of this reason, we can't do it here because of this reason, but this product may suit, that's where you can really benefit from this course. And that's what I found is when I'm even going to look at a house just for an inspection, is before I even walk into the house, there's 4 or 5 things that I should check. Whereas before, I used to just walk into a house and inspect the floor. Whereas this really teaches you about environmental conditioning, different species, different parts of the tree, why certain parts of the timber looks lighter, while certain parts look darker, what's acceptable, what's not, and then also how to test the floor for different things, and being able to identify by looking at a floor what it's doing and why it's doing that and where that's coming from, things like that. So Phil that ran the course, Phil Buckley, he was really good, opened the floor up for a lot of questions. He was very good at explaining everything to everyone, and no one seemed confused by any of it. We all sort of took it in, and I think it was really well done and really well explained. I think a lot more people can benefit from that course.
So you think it's something that, if you were a retail salesperson in a shop, do you think it's a must? Is there any other course you've done that would cover what this course covered?
Not at all, no. So I think as a retail salesperson, I know if I own a shop right now and I'm not getting the timber sales that I want to, the next time this course rolls around, I'm enrolling my salespeople in it. It's an upfront investment. By the time you sell your first big timber floor, you've got your money back.
Yeah, one
and
job.
some.
And now you know everything there is to know about assessing a home, working out your environment, where the sun's coming in, subfloor preparations, rising damps, raft. Again, as I said, I've done this course many times, and it's the reason for my knowledge and why Austin did it last year, and now you've done it, and it's why we encourage all our staff here. We're selling timber floors, and yet the training that's sort of out there is, hey, here's some swatches, here's the colours, go and measure someone's home. At this ADFA course, Randy, if you're out there, plugging in pretty hard, but they've spent a lot of years, 20, 30 years putting all this information together. And the one thing I think ADFA do really well is their education. They've really understood from a tree, you would have seen the slides where they cut the tree and then how the growth rings and, right down to the grain features and absorption of the moisture and things like that. So,
I think that's another good thing. Like when we talk about the oaks is the fact that they take on moisture a lot slower and things like that. That's probably when everyone wants to talk about waterproof floors and things like that. Like there's still benefits to the timbers in relation to moisture or humidity and that sort of stuff, especially with the oaks that take it on at a slower rate.
Yeah.
But I saw a prime example yesterday at an inspection I went to do on one of our floors. I feel like if the guy who'd been there from the store originally had have done this course, I wouldn't have even got a phone call, because he would have been able to identify almost instantly what was causing the problem that's in that house.
And that's the key word, isn't it? The cause.
Well, that was the thing. I walked through the front door, and within 15 seconds, I knew why this floor was doing what it was doing.
Yeah.
And that wasn't because of this course. That's because I've been in the industry a long time now.
Yeah.
But I feel like even people from outside of this industry that come in as a salesperson, had they have done this course, they could have walked in there yesterday and known exactly the cause and how to rectify that problem.
So we've spoken about oak. We also do a range of Australian timbers, which, to bamboo for me, when you see a beautiful spotted gum floor, I don't think there's anything, in the timber flooring sort of game that's nicer than a spotted gum floor. Tell us a little bit about the Australian sort of species range and that Clever offers.
Yeah, so I definitely agree in regards to the black butt and spotted gum. I think when you walk into a home, for me, spotted gum is the one as well.
Yeah.
But black butt's probably more popular, but for me, I'm a spotted gum guy. But when I walk into a home and I see a nice spotted gum floor or a black butt floor, Aussie timbers, like for me, visually up there with coffee bamboo, as Michael said, it's as good to look at. And I think the Aussie timbers as a whole, like I find if someone rings me up and says, do you have any laid pictures of the black butt or the spotted gum brush matte finishes, I'll send them one of the laid photos that we've got, and usually within a couple of hours I've got an order in my inbox.
Oh, 100%.
So it's not even one of those things where you show a sample and they go, I'm not sure. All you normally got to do is just send one of these laid photos and you're getting the order straight away, because visually it's so good. It's a lot harder than an oak as well. And then again, it's got the 5G clicks in the end, a bit more wax in the joints. So we've done more to protect the click system on that as well. But visually awesome, 14 mil thick, 3 mil veneer, so can be sanded back if need be. Can be direct stuck or floated again, so you've got options there. Widths as well, we've got 130 wide, we've got 180 wide, as well as a herringbone board as well. So you've got 3 different options there. And like all of our oak ranges, there's options. You've got different ways that you can go about it. But yeah, as a whole, visually, I think it's as good a product as any. And yeah, with the flat edges and that sort of stuff as well. It's a nice consistent look across the board. It looks like a proper timber floor when it's put down.
And that's the part that I'm actually most excited about for 2024 is we've got 10,000 metres this going into the project we're going up to next week into the West Village, and I'm actually like a little kid in a candy store. Like when I see that go down, like, you know, I've been watching oak go down for many like years in these projects. We obviously do a lot of the Australian species in our residential. You know, it actually, I can't even think of the words right now. Like it's the pinnacle. Like I walk into someone's home and I see black butt or spotted gum. I'm like, this person knows their timbers. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's like art.
Is that the Brisbane Racing Club project?
No. This one's you know, the West Village shopping centre there. There's a Lear. There's I can't think of all the names now, but there's 4 different towers going. So
yep, another one.
And it's the old shopping complex. So they've still got the old rustic outside shell. They've put all the new modern decor and all that in there. So,
well, Michael, we've just, you know, the beauty of the Underlay is that we go inside and under the flooring industry, and we've just gone inside and under Michael Roberts here. We've found out exactly what floats his boat. So if you wanna get anything from Michael Roberts, mention spotted gum or black butt, and he's yours. You know, it's like a bottle of wine on a Friday night to Michael.
His search history is spotted gum with long hair.
the mullet.
Yeah, it's you're a blonde or a brunette guy, Michael? Spotted gum.
Spotted gum with a mullet, please.
Hey, I'll tell you a story. When I met my wife, she had fiery red hair, just like spotted gum.
Well, there we go.
I thought you were going to say she had a mullet.
I didn't grow up in Kempsey.
Lean it up against a tree with a mullet.
That's funny. That is funny.
That's a picture I can't imagine.
No. Please don't. Please don't.
And I guess, you know, just to finish off in the range, another one actually looks really nice, which Sean, our managing director, has put through his home, is our exotic timbers, the American walnut. You know, that's a bit different. Not many people have got that out. Have you seen that down?
Yeah, so I've seen a couple of pictures of it laid. I think walnut as a colour for me is brilliant. I remember when I first started at Call, there was a walnut colour there that sold like crazy. And I think once people see it in the house, like it goes with whites, it goes with creams, it goes with browns. It ties in with a lot of different colours, walnut. There's other colours in ranges where they sort of specifically have to suit a space, whereas I find your walnut timbers in particular can blend in with a space, and it's quite unique. But as I say, it ties in everything into a home brilliantly, I think.
It's very close to that spotted gum sort of richness in colour. The difference, I guess, with the American walnut is that we have got a gloss finish on that one. So it's one of the few ranges, similar to the bamboo. So I guess the bamboo and the American walnut, we run with a semi-gloss finish. It's a little bit smoother. It pops the colours a bit more. Whereas the oaks and the Australian timbers, we use a brush matte finish to give it more of those earth tones and natural finishes. So I guess that's the other thing, you know, we try and do. We try and sort of make sure that we've got ranges to suit different people, you know, and try to get the best out of the products. Sometimes it's about, okay, what way is it easy to maintain and clean? Others is about drawing out the richness. You know, when we talk about American walnut, we talk about spotted gum, blackbutt. We're not talking about a colour. We're talking about a species. Like those colours are grown into those trees. Yes, you've got your natural oak, which is, you know, that sort of golden brownie colour. But traditionally in most of the oaks we're staining it. So you're sort of literally painting a colour onto the floor. So you're not then getting those natural beauties of the variations. And, you know, like we're looking at a spotted gum sample here now. We've got everything from green to brown to blonde. And then you think putting all those colours together, like if you were to get an oak floor and going, okay, let's get 10 different colours and try and mix it just wouldn't work. But yet when it's natural in a tree that grows, you know, it creates that sense of art and beauty. So
I'm concerned, and I got a little look from Greg there. He's a little concerned as well.
No, I just had to hold my tongue. I was going to say, what do you mean they don't grow great oak trees?
Look, I think that there's no doubt that Michael has a love affair with Australian timbers, and I think that there should be. You made a good point. Is that there seems to be a fear when it comes to timber flooring, and whether it's a price point or what it is. But I think people need to get over that, because it's a beautiful product, and it could make all the difference. And there's a massive range. Obviously, the product knowledge is second to none. Greg's now become an expert. He doesn't just have timber on his head; he's got timber in his head. He's become the master of timber.
I've got a certificate.
Well, there you go.
Oh, we've got to frame that. That's got to go straight.
Is
to
that made of timber?
Going in the pool, right? I've got a nice timber frame to go around. It might even be spotted gum, Mick.
Yeah, actually, we
that.
should get Tony to make us up some spotted gum frames, and then all the certificates here can be put on the wall.
Wow.
Look, I challenge everyone out there. You can't, if you're a customer, an end customer coming in looking for the floor, make sure you get the timber floor you asked for. And if you're a retailer out there, it's not that hard to sell the real deal. Yeah. And it is much more satisfying to sell the real deal than it is to go to the easy option of pushing a hybrid or a vinyl. That's I guess my message from this podcast is, in the chat we've had today, is it's no harder to sell the timber than it is the products you're selling right now.
Especially if people come in asking for it.
Yeah.
So don't let the price point hold you back.
No, and when you really break it all down, for me, the price point isn't that much different. Yeah. It's perception. Even everything that you do, it's all about perception, and people have perceived that it's so much dearer. Yeah. And I'm sorry, but it's not anymore. When you look at all the pricing structure and that, and then the way you got to level and do all the things, it nearly works out the same. Yeah. And they can have the real product that's there for the life of the home.
Yep.
Well, you've got a waterproof laminate that's $6 cheaper than the timber.
Yeah.
The hybrid shield's only $6 cheaper than the Oak Elegance. So
that's what I mean. Like, there's nothing in it, over the scheme of things. And they can have the real deal that is there for the life of the home.
Yeah. And we've seen even with the 2mm veneer can be sanded back and refinished as well. I think that's another myth that's been around for so long, is the fact that you can't sand it unless it's 3mm thick. Well, we just tested that. We just did one on the Gold Coast where we've sanded it back, recoated it, and the customer was chuffed. Yeah, 2 of them.
Yeah. So, and look, ultimately it's like sand and polishing sanding a car, right? If you're going to respray your car, you don't sand it back to bare metal. Right, if it's scratched or marked or dull, you take it in the panel beaters, it gives a bit of a scuff, he resprays it. And with all these new engineered products and the new evolution of coatings now, like, they're not oil finishes, they don't soak into the timber like the old traditional oil coatings did. So if you're going back 30 years ago, which is what people have still got in their head, that the oil soaks in, so every time you got to sand it, you got to sand below the oil, so you got to take chunks of the timber out. We don't do that anymore. We put a UV cured coating lacquer on top, which creates a skin. So when you're surfacing now, and I don't know, I've actually been seeing a lot of these Electro-Dry ads at the moment on the radio, on TV. Probably everyone's hearing them, Electro-Dry. So they basically come out, they give it a bit of a scuff, they scratch up the surface, and then they recoat it back to brand new again. They haven't even touched the veneer. So whether it's a 2mm, 3mm, or 6mm, it makes no difference to the longevity of that product. If you get a big chunk taken out of it, so someone drops something real big and heavy and sharp, go down to Bunnings, get a bit of putty up the hole, and then recoat it. Like, that's how you fix a timber floor. If that was a laminate and you chipped a corner, the whole floor's got to be replaced. Depending on how old it is, if it's only recently new and you've got a box left over, yes, you could replace a plank. But if it's 10 years old, you're not getting a plank the same colour. And once you start unclicking that floor, it's going in the bin. So that's the biggest difference. Don't get me wrong, veneer thickness can be a benefit. So if you're going something like a 6mm, well, now you're talking about a product that could be 100 years, in a home. If you buy and sell your home and, for instance, someone doesn't like the grey tone that you've put in, they could sand it back recoat it, and then go again. So as much as I'm saying veneers, don't matter, they don't matter for, I guess, the longevity. If you're happy, and especially you go like some of the neutral tones where probably the colour's never going to change. It's just refreshing it because it's a nice neutral tone that'll be in fashion forever. But if you're going something a little bit, left centre, then yes, you could change the colour. You could sand it back and paint it black next, 10 years. Or you could paint it pink, for instance. I got no idea what the fashions are going to be in 10 years' time. But so then there...
Mate, you don't know what the fashions are today.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Spotted gum. Fashions of the field, spotted gum and a
Hey,
dress.
there's nothing wrong with wearing a work shirt 7
Mate,
days away.
navy shirt and a pair of jeans, nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
It's always in fashion.
Sometimes you just
Purple.
adds a cowboy hat.
So I
Purple, on the other hand.
I guess these are other things we want to educate people about, is that whole fallacy of can you sand and polish it? That's only if you're talking about, okay, this is going to be a home, a generational home, or something where you're going to want to change the colour. If you're happy with your decision and that's a neutral tone, then a 2 mil veneer is going to last still 100 years, being resurfaced over and over again, where you don't have to eat back into the timber. So I guess that's what we want to do this year, is we want to bring this education, we want to bring this information to light, and give the salesmen, and I'm not sitting here rubbishing salesmen out there. Really us suppliers have got a lot to take for that as well, because we're not educating. So we're just giving these products out. And as you said, Greg, you're still learning as well. So I think if we educate ourselves a lot more, these podcasts are great because we actually get to sit around and have a chat and, talk about these things. So for all our listeners out there, they actually get a good hour session on, and I'm really glad we're doing these product
Absolutely.
sessions this year.
Yeah.
So we can, really just drive into certain ranges and talk about, the selling features, the best installation practices. So that way, ultimately, the end customer is going to benefit.
For sure. That's what it's about. It's about educating everyone on so that they have the information to make the right choices. Make the clever choice, one might say.
Make the
Guys,
Happily,
I got us.
Happily Clever After's my new one.
Oh, wow.
Happily Clever After.
Wow. That's
Love
really
it.
bad.
Yeah. All right. It's that bad, it could be good, I think.
Well, I think look, it's only because I've heard it for the first time. I'm sure after
catch on.
after the 70th time, I'll be like, that's pretty good.
That should go on the back of our shirts.
Happily Clever After. There we go. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. We've kicked 2024 off with a bang.
We sure have.
A good episode. A longer episode than normal. I think there was quite a bit to talk about there, and I think that people in store that get to listen to it will get a lot of benefit out of it.
Yes.
I think that plenty of samples here in the warehouse at Yatla. They can come in and see the floors in all its glory.
In all three of our locations
Yep.
now. So Sydney,
Melbourne,
Brisbane,
yep.
and Melbourne. And as I said, we've got all the floors laid, so you can see the differences and touch and feel them. And then obviously we've got all our retail business partners out there that, a lot of them now are displaying our floors, not only in samples, but as display floors. So that's another thing we sort of encourage everyone is to get our products on the floor and see them down and feel them, touch them.
Yep, absolutely. Greg, thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Crushed it,
Never a
as
chore.
usual.
Well done, mate.
Michael, congratulations to a great start to 2024 and onwards and upwards.
Well, congratulations to you, Matt. I believe you've also embarked on a new adventure, you and the beautiful Sophie.
Yeah, we have. We've started our own agency, which is nice. We were obviously with a agency last year that was a long-term partner of Clever.
Yep.
But we've gone out on our own now as Resonance Media Agency, and we're pretty excited. And we've had a very busy start to the year, and we're enjoying it so far. It's been a little stressful, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Probably should have done it earlier.
Yeah, well, Clever's excited to still be partnering with yourself and your new agency.
Yeah.
And I know we've worked closely over the last sort of month or two. And,
Yeah.
And
Well, we thank you very much for the support. Obviously, we couldn't do it without you. So
Yep.
you're one of our major clients. We're only a small boutique agency at this stage. So we are very proud to be associated with Clever Choice and continuing the Underlay, which was our brainchild anyway in the first place,
it
yourself
sure
and myself. So it's great to have Greg along for the ride, and you'll be hearing his voice more often this year as our resident expert. You know, he's happy with that, I'm sure.
Everyone's looking forward to it.
No doubt.
They're in their cars. They're just like, yes.
Yeah.
Well, we'll wait to see on the customer feedback.
Yes.
More Greg.
More Greg. Look, Underlay will be going next level. We'll be getting some stuff up on YouTube. We've got our own Facebook and Instagram page that's already launched. And once we get some of this content, it'll be all up on there. And it'd be great to have as many people follow the journey as we can.
Yeah, well, we've already got, I think, nearly a dozen people lined up for this year.
We have.
You know, it was an exciting year last year. You know, we had our business partners, Randy from Adfer, Fiona from FCIA. We had installers on, Phil from Floret Logistics.
Yeah.
We had customers, so we had Anderson's, Rowan and Jimmy.
Yeah.
We had designers. We had Madison, Olivia.
Yeah.
Wow, we had a really good year last year. We had a really good mix of everyone from the industry, and I guess ultimately that's what this is about. It's about the industry,
absolutely,
and it's about lining up all those guests. And I'm not going to leak out who they all are.
No, it's going to be a surprise each week.
Do you reckon any of the other reps could beat my gold medal winner?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think we should put the challenge to them.
Put the challenge out. Can anyone beat a gold medalist?
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen. But
what do you think would beat a gold medalist? Like, what in your eyes? Who would they have to bring on?
Adam Reynolds.
Oh, me and Renault.
I reckon we could
get called Adam Reynolds.
Pat Carrigan.
No, him and Paddy not friends at the moment.
Not at the moment.
Yeah, Paddy's out pissing it up, isn't he? Like,
yeah,
what's the go with these?
I would like Renault on though. He's a bit of a. I hate South, but always loved him. So when he came up here, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's a good
I'd
player.
do a bit of tackling with Renault. I reckon he might be my spotted gum.
I reckon we should try and get one of the NRL. We talk NRL like every
we should.
week.
We should.
All right. So I reckon if someone can get an NRL player on, that'll trump your gold medalist.
It might. Gentlemen, we could sit here and talk all day about prospective guests, but I think we'll call it a day. Episode 1, 2024 in the can. Congratulations.
Wait,
there's more.
NRL winner prediction before the season kicks
off.
Oh,
okay.
We've got to get this done.
Oh, easy for me. Hands down, Tigers.
Oh, God. You can't say that, Michael.
Oh, I can.
Can the Panthers do 4 in a row?
But
can they?
Yes.
It would be awesome if they did. Like, to have a team in this
I
era,
gotta say,
like win 4 in a row, like it would show.
Well, first time
how
ever.
Great. 100.
First time ever.
Or in this era.
Yeah. Apart from St. George. Apart from St. George.
Get off the fence. Who is it?
Oh, I think Panthers are going to go again.
It's hard to go away from Panthers.
Yeah.
Like some of the other clubs have bought well. Like, okay, Broncos, definitely. If there's someone else that's going to be there from what I saw last year, you can't go past the Broncos. To me, Broncos Penrith grand final again. Flip of a coin on who wants it more.
Okay.
Hashtag year of the horse.
Okay. Look, I'm going to have a little addendum here that if Tommy Turbo stays fit the whole year, Manly win the comp. Pre-season specialist.
I'll back him for the 8. I'm not backing him for the comp.
Yeah. If Turbo stays fit, I think they could be top 4.
Here's my big prediction. Tigers will beat the Bulldogs.
Do you think Bulldogs will be? You reckon Bulldogs are going to be wooden spooners?
No, Dragons.
Yeah, Dragons will be. Yeah.
Dragons, then the Dogs, then the Tigers.
Okay.
So you don't even have the Tigers in the 8?
Oh, no way.
Close.
Yeah, they're in the bottom, mate. They're in the bottom, mate.
I think you should feel happy that I've got them off the bottom.
Yeah.
I even got my jersey put back up centre of the wall.
Gentlemen, bold predictions. But that's it for this week's episode of the Clever Choice podcast, The Underlay. And guys, happily clever after.
Bye for now.